Today we're going to be going over our core Microsoft SQL Schema engine for HL7 version 3. We're going to be looking at two specific enhancements that come in this version. There's a free upgrade if you already own the software, so download it and take a look. We're going to be looking at latency reduction. If you need to import large HL7 messages, those that have many segments, or if you're importing a high volume of messages hourly, or if your MS SQL Server is remote, like your database exists in Austin, but the Schema engine software is running in Dallas. This version can significantly increase the speed of importing messages into your database. We've also expanded your MS Windows services. This version makes it so much easier to run dozens or even hundreds of different core SQL schemas by expanding your choices in this area. We're going to take a look first, just a brief overview of what the program does for anyone who's watching this video for the first time and isn't familiar with it, and then we're going to get into these enhancements. So to go over very briefly, our core SQL engines take HL7 messages, explode them out into their atomic data elements, and import them into a set of tables in a Microsoft SQL Server database. Now, without getting too far into the weeds, you create a new schema. We'll just edit an existing one. This one for Kaitaya Hospital. You give it a name. You give it a schema prefix. This is 2 to 4 characters, and we're going to create a bunch of tables that start with that. So you set up your SQL connection, pretty standard stuff. You can set up database maintenance. In runtime processing, you set up 1 to 4 folders that you wanted to look at to import messages. You set the preferred text encoding. You can tell it to run a stored procedure after it imports each message. You can even set up a TCP/IP listener. In this case, I'm telling it I want to listen on port 6000 for HL7 messages to come in. If any messages come in on that port, import them directly into the database. That's schema profiles in a nutshell. Let's run it and watch what happens. Now this schema is currently set to run in service number 3, but we're going to run it locally, which is absolutely the slowest way to do it, but we want to show it running. So I'm going to start running it, and it's going to be listening on port 6000, and it's going to be looking in that data folder for HL7 messages. Over here in my viewer, I have 1631 messages set up. I'm going to export those to a folder, everything to a folder, go. There it is. I'm going to open it. There's our thing. It is actually importing messages. Now, while this is going, I can also bring up my sender, which I have set to send 100 ADT messages. This can be going simultaneously. That's done. It's already sent those 100 messages. You can see here, it's importing the 1600 messages, and by the time I can close everything up, it will be done. 800, we'll let it go through to the end. This is only going to take a few more seconds. And again, keep in mind, this is the slowest that this can go by running in this window and having to keep track of all of the tracing, etc., etc., etc. Almost. And done. It's finished. And with that, while we were doing that, we imported 1700 odd messages into this schema. I'll bring up the first 1,000 rows. There they are today. And that is how the schema engine works. The changes that we made to the latency affected the speed at which we imported messages. The core SQL engine was already the fastest thing on the planet. We made it faster. Here's an example. During that little demo that we just did, we imported 1,731 messages, and we imported them in almost exactly 60 seconds. That's a little less than 29 messages per second. On each message as it was imported, the software executed a stored procedure, which also ran. Now with the latency changes, we probably gained about a message and a half per second on that. If you want to see what we did, you can pull up the online help and go to the release history, and it was for version 2.7.1 released in October. And we get really far into the weeds explaining what we did and how we did it. Now the really exciting part, the Windows Services expansion. In older versions of the core SQL engine, and here's a screenshot from version 2, you could create as many schemas as you wanted, but you only had two options. You could assign them to one of 4 Windows services, or you could say, don't run it in a service at all. I only want to run it locally like you would do for testing. Now, the main problem with that is that if you needed to create a new schema, or if you needed to edit an existing schema, you would have to stop the Windows service that schema was running in, which if you have 100 schemas evenly divided out amongst the 4 services, that means you're going to be stopping 25 of your interfaces just to troubleshoot one or to create a new one, etc. Now the time that you spend stopped isn't meaningful, but it's your business. You know whether or not those interfaces can be interrupted or not. So let's move on and see what we're doing today with version 3. Starting with version 3, we've expanded this out so that you have up to 20 primary services. Now, primary service means you can put as many schemas as you want. It's fully multi-threaded. I could assign every schema that I've got to service instance 1, and it would work just fine. But I can now choose from up to 20 different primary services. I can tell it to only run locally, and I have this, a private service, which is a special service that will only run one particular schema. And that is interesting. Over here on the services, you can see I have it sorted by this. You can see my service instance that I have running each one. NA indicates that it doesn't run in a service at all, and P indicates private. Now what does this look like over here? I click on the Windows Service status. Here are all the Windows services that I have. They are not installed. They need attention. All I have to do is click the Install Windows Services button, and now they're all there. They're stopped. I can click the Start button, and they're all now running. You have a right-click menu so that you have full control over each individual service instance, so that if I need to edit a schema that is in service instance 1, I can stop it, edit it, make a change, and come back and start service 1 again. So here, if I have 100 different interfaces, 100 different schemas, if I evenly distribute them amongst the 20 primary services, then I've only got 5 per service. Much less of a disruption if I need to stop one. Plus I have the ability to create a private service. Here's one for Matarua Clinic. There it is. It's running in a private service. That service only runs that one instance. Now what does this look like? Let's go look at our Windows services. We'll scroll down to the cores, and there's my individual private instances, and there's my private service for Matarua Clinic and Dunedin Hospital. And that's our overview for the core SQL Engine version 3. If you need an HL7 database product that is fault tolerant, great for doing high volume, high speed, many interfaces, this could be the product for you. Download it for free and check it out. If you like this content, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel, and take a look at the other videos. We have a lot of videos on our different HL7 products, including the core SQL engine. Thanks for watching.